So just chill, chill out. Don't go buying all the things. Just observe your children. If they're older, get their feedback, talk to them, stay in constant communication, and everything will be okay. I promise you. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing homeschooling from scratch and giving you some really practical ways that you can get started with your homeschooling journey, even if you feel like you have no idea what you're doing. But briefly, before we get started, I just want to introduce myself in case you're new. I'm Maryann and I'm a homeschool mom of 2 kids. Here on this channel, you'll find everything home and family related with a large focus on homeschool and homemaking content. So if those are things that are interesting to you, then please consider clicking subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads. I'm going to start off by sharing very quickly my story, my background. I did not grow up homeschooled. So when I decided to homeschool my kids, it was all new to me. So everything that I'm sharing with you today, it's from my own experience. This is stuff that I have sort of learned from my own mistakes, but just from my own journey. And so my hope in doing this video is that if there's anybody out there that is researching homeschooling and trying to figure out where to start and what to do, that this will answer your questions. I know I had so many questions about it when I first started, and the internet can be a very good but also very overwhelming place to find answers because there's so many different opinions. So here I'm keeping it very simple, straight to the point, and I really hope that this helps you find a clear path and get a clear focus for how you want to start your homeschool journey. It's a really snowy, stormy day outside today, so I'm enjoying sitting beside my wood stove. The heat of it is just phenomenal. So hopefully you'll enjoy the cozy backdrop as well as I share my words of wisdom. All right, so my very first tip for you guys, if you're just starting your homeschool journey, is make your decision to homeschool. If that's what you want to do, make your decision and just commit to it. Don't go into your homeschooling journey with the idea of, well, we'll see. We'll try it and we'll see. Now, I'm not saying that you have to commit for life. I'm not saying that you have to say, this is it, we're never making a change. In fact, later on, I'm going to talk about making changes. But you do need to have some level of commitment to the process, knowing that it is actually a process. You're not going to start homeschooling and right away find your groove and decide whether or not you love it or not. It is going to take time. And so you need to commit that time in order to figure out if homeschooling is working for you and for your kids. And you're probably going to have to do a lot of reconfiguring and changing your mind in order to get to that place of knowing whether or not it's right for you, which again, I'm going to touch on that a little bit later in the video. But if you want to homeschool, if you feel like this is what your family is being led to do, then you need to make your decision to do it and you need to stick to it. Don't let other people talk you out of it. Don't be swayed by anybody. Just make your decision, have like tunnel vision and stick with it. And that's that. The second tip is very boring and very quick, but it's just simply do whatever legalities you have to do for where you live. So where we live in Canada, we have to register our children with the government as homeschooled kids and basically provide just a very brief outline of what we plan on doing. And when I say brief, I mean brief, like they don't need details. So just check with your province or state, wherever you live. Make sure you know what's legally required of you as a homeschool family. Just know what you need to do and make sure you've checked off all of those legal boxes. Okay, and the third thing, this one is where it gets a little bit nicer, a little bit less firm. Talk to your kids. Talk to them. Be transparent with them and let them know that this is new for you as well. If your kids have already been in some sort of a public or private school environment, then chances are they're a little bit older. They're not just, getting into those kindergarten years. And talk to them and explain that this is going to be a journey and that you're learning right alongside them, and get their feedback, get their opinions, ask them, say, what do you want to learn? What is something that you really want to learn about? Obviously, you're going to have to make sure you cover just the basic, literacy and math and those types of things. But let your kids have a say in what they're doing. That's the beauty of homeschool. Try not to go into this with the mentality of like a dictatorship where you're saying, this is what you learn, this is what we do, there's no room for anything else, be quiet and sit down. You're not going to enjoy homeschool doing that. And your kids aren't going to enjoy homeschool that way either. So if your kids are older, just talk to them, get their opinion, and really, really listen and take that into account. And stay humble, okay? As a mom or dad or whatever, parent, grandparent, whoever's doing the homeschooling here, it's easy to sometimes try to act as if we know everything or we have all the answers because we're sort of panicking inside and we don't want to appear like we're unraveling in front of our kids. But there is no need of that. Just be honest and say, okay, guys, like this is brand new to me too. We're going to give this a try, see how it works. If it's not working, we'll change something and keep going. So don't put up a facade. Just be very real and let your kids have an input as well. It is so, so important. And if your kids are younger, like let's say you're deciding to homeschool and your kids are just entering those preschool, kindergarten years, and they're kind of too young for you to ask, their feedback on certain topics. Let's say you have, 3 and 4-year-olds. Just do life with them. Just embark on this journey. Do not stress over curriculum at that age. Don't stress over a specific structure. Just embark on this journey of homeschool with them. Be as humble and as transparent as you can be with children of that young of an age. And be a student of your child. I have heard people say that so many times in this homeschooling world. And I can say now, after a few years of homeschooling, this is our 4th year of homeschooling, I can say that that is absolutely good advice. Be a student of your child. Observe your child. Figure out how your child learns best, what they're passionate about, what makes their eyes light up, and what makes them fall asleep mid-sentence. Figure it out. Figure out what they love and what they hate, and just learn them. So be a student of your child and just enjoy this homeschool journey. Don't overstress it and overthink it. When they're young like that, they just need time with you and they need to play, and they are going to learn and absorb so many things just from you being attentive to them. Okay? So just chill, chill out. Don't go buying all the things. Just observe your children. If they're older, get their feedback, talk to them, stay in constant communication, and everything will be okay. I promise you. The next tip is one that I think is really important, and it is a little bit tricky. I'm not going to lie. I found it a little bit hard at first, but it's find people that you can relate to. Find other homeschooling families that you can relate to and learn from them. And when I say relate to, that's an important element here of the point that I'm trying to make. There are so many ways that you can homeschool, so many styles, so many, families on YouTube like myself. It's endless. You can be literally taking in information from everywhere. Find a family either online or in person. In person would be way better. If you have somebody in your community that that homeschools, find somebody that you can relate to who does things in a way that you think, that kind of resonates with me. Like that, the way they do things, that kind of seems like something I would do. And their kids kind of seem similar to my kids in personality. Find somebody you can relate to. And this might take a while. So don't be discouraged if you don't find this right away. This might take a while, but there are people out there. Again, ideally, if it's real life people, like in your circle, but if not, there are many people online. And focus on those people. It doesn't mean you can't listen to other homeschool families or observe different things. But when you're just starting out, it can be so overwhelming to hear all the different things that you can be doing that you can kind of just get into this like what's it called? Analysis paralysis, right? Where you're just overwhelmed. Well, that they're doing that and they're doing that and I don't know what to do and blah. And then you just freeze and you panic and then you think, I can't do this. I'm not equipped for this. What was I thinking? So keep it small. Don't go too broad. Find somebody you can relate to and learn from them. That is going to make it so much easier for you at the beginning. Eventually, you're going to forge your own way. You're going to make your own style, your own rhythm and all those things. But when you're first starting out, you don't even know what that's going to look like. So just find somebody relatable and learn from them and end it. Like they would say on Seinfeld, just dip the chip and end it. Okay, the next tip is very, very simple, yet can often be the most challenging of all of them, really, of all the steps. Once you've done everything you need to do legally, you've spoken to your kids, you've made the decision, you've gained some inspiration, just start something, okay? Just start something. It doesn't have to be something formal. It doesn't have to be anything structured, or it can be if you want it to be. But start something. Do not stay in this decision paralysis mode. It's very easy to stay there, and usually that just breeds complete overwhelm and anxiety. So start something. Okay, now, the next thing I'm going to talk about really piggybacks onto this. But when you start something, keep in mind that whatever you start with, you probably will not do forever. So don't put too much emotion or too much weight into what you're doing at the beginning. Just start something. You have to get going. You have to get that momentum rolling in order to figure things out and in order for you to gain confidence and perspective in your homeschool. So pick something, whether it's a curriculum, whether it's a homeschooling method, whatever it is, just pick something and start something, because from there, the rest will start to flow. Okay. So just do it and stop thinking about it. Okay. And the next thing is, like I say, it piggybacks off of what I just said. It's be willing to make lots of changes. And in fact, expect those changes. Do not expect that what you choose from the beginning is what you will always do. I will tell you right now that what we started that first year of homeschooling, it's nothing like what we do now. It's completely different. The way I had it organized is not how we do it now. Our days don't look the same. The curriculum I chose is not the same. My mindset behind it is not the same. I'm a completely different person now than I was 4 years ago as a homeschool mother. But I had to start somewhere. I didn't have a homeschool background. I was raised in public school, and I had no idea what I was doing. I literally was just flying by the seat of my pants, doing the best that I could in that time, but that was enough then. What I did, even though it's not what we're doing now, it got me started, and I quickly learned what was working and what wasn't. So we made changes as time progressed, and as my children grew up and we got more confident with our homeschooling, we made lots of changes, and we still make changes. So expect that things are going to change, and do not view change as failure, either on your part or your kids' part. Because sometimes as moms, we think that if we might get a curriculum that we think this is the best thing ever and it looks so great and our kids are going to love it, and then they absolutely hate it. And so then we can feel one of two things. We can either internalize that and feel like failures ourselves, thinking that we just suck at picking curriculum, we don't know our kids, we're awful at this, how could we have done this, we wasted our money. Or we can kind of put that blame on our kids and say, well, why don't you like this? This is such a good curriculum. Maybe you're not focused enough, or maybe you're not understanding this enough, or what's the problem? Is there a gap? We can take it way too far in both directions and just place failure or blame on somebody. But sometimes it's just as simple as it's just not the right thing. And so you change it. And there are ways to get your money back. You could try to sell your curriculum or your items to somebody else, but that's another topic. I've actually done a whole video on saving money as a homeschool mom, so I can link that in the description, and part of that covers what to do with curriculum that doesn't work for you, so I can link that down in the description below. But expect changes, okay? Do not expect that what you start with is going to be what you use forever. It won't happen. I've never ever seen that happen with anybody. Remember what I said at the beginning of this video. Homeschooling is a process. So don't be too stubborn or prideful to admit when something isn't working, because you are just going to be hurting yourself and your homeschool in general if you try to stick with something that everybody hates. Your kids aren't going to absorb it. And the beauty of homeschooling is that you have the freedom and the ability to make it work for your kids and for you as the homeschool parent. You get to make it work for everybody. So play around with things. Don't be too prideful. Let go of that need to control everything and just let things happen. Be responsive in a positive way. Make changes and just roll with it. Because if you can do that, I promise you, you are going to find your groove. You're going to find it quicker if you learn to let things go than if you hold on to everything so tightly because you thought that this would be perfect and now it isn't. So don't do that. I've done it, and trust me, nothing good comes of that. The very last tip that I have for you is don't try to make your homeschool mimic public school or private school or whatever it is that you know, okay? Don't do that, and don't compare it. Don't stress over what they're learning in public school and try to, replicate all of that at home. Your kids are going to be fine if you are paying attention, if you are making sure that they have their basic literacy skills and their math knowledge, and then allow them to dive into things that are interesting to them as they get older. Once they reach those older years and have an idea what they want to do, you guys can deep dive into so many things and really tailor their education to suit who they want to be and what they want to do in life. Don't try to do public school in your home. And I realize that that's easier said than done, because when you don't know anything else except public school, it's hard to toss that aside. I struggled with it. It took me probably a good year or so to kind of get myself deschooled and out of that public school mindset. But the sooner you can do it, the better. So if you need to take a little bit of time to just be with your kids without doing any formal schoolwork before you start, that's a great idea. That deschooling process is good for everybody. But just remember that you don't need to structure your day around the school time. It doesn't have to start at 8:30 and end at 2:30. You don't need recess and all this stuff. It's okay if school only takes an hour or 2 hours. It doesn't matter. Just do what you can. Make sure your kids are, engaged and pay attention to their needs and their interests and all these things. And just be with them and spend time with them. I promise you things will fall into place if your heart is truly in this. And I say all this because I know there's a lot of people who say that, if you don't do certain things with your homeschool kids, they end up not knowing anything. And I know that there are some situations where you have a family that homeschools and the kids don't get what they need in order to, do well in this world. But I would say those families are few and far between. Most homeschool families I know, we're all extremely invested in our children and in their education and in their lives. So just don't overthink it. This is not public school at home. This is home education, and it involves so much more than just the basic academics. So again, just to repeat myself a little bit, start something. Expect that you're going to change. Don't try to do all the things you see. Just keep your focus narrow. Find something that you think would work and start there. Pay attention. Be students of your kids. Spend time with them. Stay humble. Talk to them. Get their feedback. And you're going to do great. Okay? Homeschooling really is such a wonderful journey. I am so thankful that we embarked on this as a family. I honestly couldn't even imagine my life right now if we didn't homeschool. It really is amazing. You just have to get through those initial fears, those initial little bumps in the road, all those things. But you will get through those. Stay committed, stay focused. You're going to be okay. And your kids are going to be fabulous. So don't worry about that. So that's all I have for you today, guys. It's a short and sweet video. Again, if this is the kind of stuff you're interested in, then consider clicking subscribe and ringing the notification bell. That way you won't miss any future uploads. I am soon going to be embarking on a massive declutter throughout my home. So I will be sharing that journey with you, as well as always, I will be bringing you guys along for lots of homeschool daily vlogs and things like that as well. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.